Hunting is a deed that requires several attributes like mind, will, force, speed, and expertise. Humans and animals hunt in this way. Now we will tell you about a hunter that hunts and that astonishes sane people, even though it has no mind and no will. The Venus flytrap. These plants live in areas that lack nutritional components. It is not possible for plants to synthesize and develop protein without certain elements. The Venus flytrap compensates for this deficiency by grinding insects. These interesting plants feed on the flies and insects moving on them by catching them. What makes Venus attractive to insects is the red substance called anthocyanin, a sugar-scented secretion coming from the glands around the leaves. Caught by the irresistible charm of this scent, the insect touches the hairs in the red lobes, thinking that it has found an easy meal. Although man is unable to catch a fly that lands on his palm, this trap in the plant closes in 1/10 of a second. The insect is suddenly trapped between a pair of leaves that are tightly closed on it. The Venus plant soon begins to secrete the fluid that dissolves the insect and turns the fly into some kind of jelly, and then sucks it up. How does a plant with no muscles, bones, or nerves make such a sudden movement? The mechanical effect caused by the hitting of the insect on the hairs of the plant is transmitted to the receptors under the hairs by an electrical system. These signals reach the motor cells that move the leaves suddenly, and the mechanism to swallow the insect is activated very quickly. And the trap closes with great speed. As the trapped fly touches the hairs over and over again, it causes the electrical repulsion to form again and the leaves to close more tightly. In the meantime, the digestive glands on the surface of the trap are also stimulated. As a result of this stimulus, the glands begin to slowly release the fluid that will dissolve the fly. Thus, the plant feeds on the jelly of the fly, which has now become a protein-rich soup. The system has another interesting feature. It is necessary to touch the hairs twice in a row to trigger the trap. The trap will not close unnecessarily thanks to this double-action mechanism. For example, when a raindrop falls into the plant, or when any lifeless stimulant like a dead insect that touches the hair will cause the leaf to close. If the insect is small, it can escape through the hairs on the edges of the leaf. Thus, the plant will not spend more energy than a small insect will give by eating it. After grinding, the plant will take the grinding liquid in again. The exoskeleton remaining from the insect often attracts other insects and increases the chances of catching the second prey. That is a plant that leaves materialist thought helpless and tells us about Allah in all aspects. How did this plant have very fast-moving leaves and enzymes that could digest insects? What kind of a coincidence should take place so that the plant could have such a magnificent and flawless structure? This carnivorous plant has the characteristics suitable for the conditions in which it lives. The creator of the plant must know the following in order to establish this system in the body of the plant and turn it into a skilled hunter. Number 1. It must first determine the insects and flies to hunt. After testing them in a chemical laboratory, it must determine their weaknesses, from what smells and colors they are affected, their anatomical structures, and how to digest them. 2. Then it must scout the area where these insects roam and determine where it should settle. 3. It must form the chemical and biological structure of the plant according to the data obtained. In other words, it needs both chemical pigments to change the color of the plant and secretory glands to change its smell. It must calculate and do all of them. 4. before, it must also design a trap so that the fly will not survive when it falls into the trap. 5. After performing the necessary engineering work for this, it must design an electrical system, adhesive hairs, a slippery surface, and a bowl full of water at the bottom, a trap that completes this trap, and the keys that will trigger the trap one by one. 6. The trap must be designed with such delicate balances that it will not close unnecessarily. For example, if a raindrop falls into the plant, or when any lifeless stimulus that touches the hairs must not cause the leaf to close and the trap must not be activated. 7. In the meantime, it must know how to digest the insect and decide what enzymes to use to do it. 8. After planning all these things, it must make the plant a perfect hunter that eats meat with its power. Whoever can do these things is the artist and the creator of this plant. The causes that form the carnivorous plants, like all plants, do not have any knowledge to design them, any eye to see around, any will to make a choice, or any power to invent. Let alone a plant. Even if all scientists who are experts in their field come together, they cannot produce such a complex design. Everything that causes this plant to form is far from the claim to own it. Thus, those who do not accept Allah can accept this idea by attributing this knowledge, will, power, and all other attributes that we cannot count to those deaf, blind, and unconscious causes, or to chance or coincidence. Yes, if a person who does not accept Allah thinks conscientiously about what he has to accept, he will accept how unfounded the idea he believes in is, and will believe that all these works are created only by Allah, who has infinite knowledge and power. Otherwise, he will ridicule himself in the eyes of sane people by associating those attributes with unconscious, will-less, lifeless causes or blind coincidence.